And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello to April, and an April Fool's Day to everyone is now gone, so you can't say that crap because we are here to talk serious stuff about fights. We had a bunch of fights. We had Bellator. We had the PFL. We had Gamebred Boxing. We got so much to talk about and so little time. What are we going to do? Let's go.
Man, John, it's been a long weekend.
No.
Oh, well, let's give you a little throwback history of what happened, John.
Let's go.
Trickled down out of our hotel rooms a little bit late, which I never am, and then drove all the way to Orange County to jump.
No, one of us drove, one of us slept.
One of us slept. I needed to sleep, man. I needed to sleep. Man, you know what's funny is when I work the desk, right? I feel like there's no stress, but when I have to do the stand-up,
you're stressed out.
I get so stressed out.
I know, and I tell you, dude, you just be you. You're good.
I know, but I want people to do this. I want people to have somebody on the other side of the house ask them a question, and you stand in front of the wall just like this and talk to it. See if you can put your sentences together and make sense. But
talk to the lens like it's a human being.
You're just looking at a lens, even though you know there's somebody on the other side, and a lot of people are on the other side. But it's hard to formulate a conversation when there's no facial expression being thrown back at you.
Yeah, you like to talk to people that are listening.
I don't like to talk to myself. That's what it feels like. I mean, half the time when we're on this podcast, I know I'm just talking to myf because John don't listen to me. Podcast Dave doesn't speak English. He doesn't even speak English, so he doesn't get it. All right. Well, hey, okay. I'm going to be a little forthcoming. Is that I was concerned. When this Bellator fight this card got put together, and as I'm trickling down, and we did the breakdown last week, I'm like, man, I'm a little nervous. We may get a lot of rounds out of this, and there might be some fights that maybe, kind of drag a little bit, this and that. Man, this card was really good.
Yeah,
the
except for a couple fights.
Yeah, a couple were just, but the prelims, they were great. The main card was great. I mean, I think how many prelims did we have? We had like 9 prelims or something, 9 or 10 prelims. 10. Yeah, and then 7 of them were finishes, I believe.
Yeah.
Great. And then the one fight that we thought was going to be, a finish ended up going the distance. It was like
it's always that way.
Just weird, right?
But it was. You think you know.
But it was, and it had some knockouts. It had some submissions. It had some great. It had O's that had to go. I mean, people that had undefeated records ended up losing. You're just like thinking to yourself, man, what is going on tonight? It was one of those nights. It was a sneaky good night where there's some names on the card, but I didn't expect the card to be this damn good. They fucking fought their asses off. They deserve a lot of credit. Everybody on that fight card deserves a lot of credit because they fucking brought it. That Nalo and Piccolotti fight, the second round was a little slow, but that first round and third round was fucking fantastic.
Great fight.
Fantastic. I mean,
there was a bunch of the Archie Colgan-Montalvo fight. A lot of people are going to sit there and talk to you. I love Justin Montalvo. He's a gamer, dude.
I have him back every single time. When guys fight like that.
Exactly. And the one that happened really fast that I thought was going to be I thought it was going to go the distance. Mike Hamill against Nick Brown. Dude. Every time Mike Hamill fights, he is a guy that brings it. And you know what? That's the kind of people you want. You want people that go after it. Yeah. And that's what Justin Montalvo is. That's what, Mike Hamill is. Love those guys.
Yeah, I just, John, when he started looking at this card, I was just getting a little worried. I'm like, man, I can see this fight going the distance. I can see this fight going the distance. But people underestimate how important it is to have someone like a Burt Watson in the back who gets that motivation going. And you never really think about it. And the people at home, you guys probably don't even know. Yeah, they have no idea. The speech, it's just kind of been the same speech for the last, 10, 15 years, whatever, but he's made a couple little tweaks here and there. But I remember him, he didn't do it when I was fighting there the first run at the UFC. But when I went back for the John Fitch and Koscheck fights and Swick fights, he was giving that speech. And, I'm like, it seems a little kind of corny at the time. But then as I started when I went back for the UFC in 2012, 2013, he gave the speech, and I'm like, when you're trying to get your mind right for fighting, it does get you going. No, it does. Not a little bit. It got me going. And then it was good. And then Dana would pull the main event fighters or, the main card fighters into a room and be like, hey, you guys, this is your chance. That gets you going a little bit. Yeah, every little bit kind of moves you toward like, finish this fight. Fuck this guy up. It's that every little bit gets you going. And this was one of those cards that I was very, very happy to see these fighters come out there and really lay it on the line. Because we've had fights in the fighters in the past. That's like, like they try to fight super conservative. Like they think they're protecting something. No. If you're not going to fucking fight your ass off, like if you're not going to lay it all out there on the line and to see, I gave a harsh speech to Adam Piccolotti in the back after he won. I said, you almost gave this fucking fight away again, just like you did with Benson Henderson. I loved the way you fought, like, because you brought it up on air.
Yeah,
you said Adam was dominating fucking Benson Henderson in the first round. Then in the second round, he just put it on cruise control and then was trying to fight.
Completely different fighter.
Third. Same exact shit happened in this fight.
Second round,
same exact shit. Second round, just gave it away.
Yeah,
just gave it away.
He let Amanda Nall start to take over, control the range, and you go, Did you not feel pretty good about what happened in that first round? Were you not the guy that was actually the one in control of where the engagements happened and all these things? And you look and go, hey, I don't know, whatever. But he came out in the third round. Got to give him credit.
The difference. Look, let's just start off with the main event. Let's work our way down. We've skipped it all down. Let's go right. Daniel James versus Marcelo Golm. What a fight, man. I was nervous, John, about this fight potentially being like two heavy guys. Daniel James being 285, probably 280, 285 by the time he got in the cage. Marcelo Golm being the heaviest he'd ever been. I was like, oh man, these two could end up just hanging on each other against the fence. And they did for a little bit, but then they had some exchanges. Did for a little bit.
Tactically, yes. But I give Marcelo Golm a lot of credit for smart fight plan. Don't sit there and engage with the monster, at range. Try to make him tired, try to wear him down, and then break him down. And that's what he was doing. And his calf kicks that he was throwing, they were hard. I mean, if you were there, you go, oh, damn, that hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And they were effective. You could see they were starting to have an effect on James and stuff. I thought that, he got knocked out. And it can happen to anyone, especially when you got a guy he's got, cinder blocks in his damn gloves. And Daniel James can hit. He's got power. But that's a lot of heavyweights. But Marcelo Golm was really fighting a smart fight. I mean, I really look and go, man, it was the right plan to beat the guy that you were facing. And so he was actually in the midst of getting there. It was, I think, Daniel James, well, this is my last shot. And I listened to Alex Trujillo, his corner, in between the rounds, because I'm like, dude, he's got to throw his hands. If he doesn't throw his hands, he's going to eat more leg kicks, and it's just going to all. And he bit down, said, I'm going forward. His leg was killing him, didn't matter, and threw his hands and connected. Happens. But that's what you want. That's what heavyweights are about. He was losing, and he took that thing right out of the gutter and said, nope, I'm going to be a winner, and got the win.
Yeah, Daniel James talked about his game plan when we had the fighter meetings. He said, he's like, I'm going to press him to the clinch. I'm going to try to knock him out. Land my uppercuts, land my knees, all those things. He said, but once we get close enough, I'm going to hang on him. I'm going to clinch on him. I'm going to make him carry my body weight. And it was having an effect. Now, you and I were concerned about Marcelo Golm because this is the heaviest he's ever come in. Yeah. Dude, I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, there was definitely no problem with it. And I thought that the fact that he was training, his training partner throughout this camp was Sergey Pavlovich. And you look and you go, perfect person.
Yeah.
Big striker, strong dude. Heavy, perfect guy to match up if you're going to have someone kind of emulate Daniel James, man. Has faster hands, big power. Yes. So
Sergey's a beast, man. I forgot he trained at AKA for years.
For a while.
And I was like, I swear I feel like I've seen that person before. He was skinnier. Yeah, his face was a lot skinnier.
Yeah.
When he was at AKA.
Yeah, he's definitely he's grown, and man, that dude's going to be a problem for people.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big guy, man.
But overall, it was a fun fight. Great job by Daniel James. Look, coming back again. And he's a smart guy as far as he knows his age. He knows where he's at. He knows, hey, this is my shot. I need to fast track. I need to go. I want to fight. And I think they're going to put him on that Chicago card that's coming up, which is stacked already. And you put that dude in the seats, you know it's going to sell.
Yeah, I think we've, John. I think there's been something. I don't know. Something's in the water. Something's in the air. Whatever you want to say. But the crowd was sold out at the Pachanga, but it's a small arena, and I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh God, it was so big, but it's not. It wasn't. I think it seats about 3,500 people. So, but it was sold out a couple weeks back. I mean, almost 3 weeks ago or something like that.
But a lot of those are going because casino takes a lot of.
That's fine.
And
they pay us for it
to their
their big higher rollers. Yeah, but they pay us for it.
Oh yeah,
I get that.
Oh yeah,
but we've also seen a lot of traction. San Jose had a really good number in terms of selling. I think they sold about 11,000. 10 something. Yeah, it's about 10,000. I think a little over 10. And you got to remember though, is that even though the arena seats about 19,000, the way Bellator does because of the cage, or not because of the cage, because of the walkout, that big ramp, you lose about 2,500 to 3,000 seats because the screens cover the whole backside or one side of the arena. Yep. And so, but I know that there's the arena over in Chicago, which is where Daniel James is from.
That's a good arena.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite arena outside of the SAP arena. Yeah. It's probably my favorite arena because there's not a bad seat in the house, and if you live in the Chicago area, you can make this fight. It's the Wintrust, correct? Is that what it's called? It's where DePaul plays the college basketball team.
Fantastic.
But damn. That arena is fantastic. Not a bad place in the house. It looks amazing on TV. Just love it there. And this kid, I say kid, he's 41 years old. But he can sell, man. He can sell tickets. And so he wasn't announced to be on this card, but he for sure said he wants to be on the card if he comes out unscathed. So we'll see how he feels.
A little unscathed with that leg, dude.
Yeah.
He's going to be hobbling for some days.
Yeah, he's got to get some massages on it, though. But he's got some time. So he's got April, May, and then he can get ready into June. He can jump right into a camp. But he's, I think this will be the first. I'd like to see if Bellator, because I know that they have tickets for that card have been on sale now for about 2 weeks. And John, they're pretty much almost sold out already, and that's about 9,000. I think they're about 9,000. So if they can open up that back and get rid of the walkout stage and have them walk from the locker rooms or the hall, you could sell the whole arena out without having to have the stage up there. I'd like to see us do it because I like the walkout, like the way it is, but I also think in moments like this, you got to set yourself apart a little bit. Like, hey, we're hindering our own growth now.
Yeah. It's funny because you go back in time and the UFC had a ramp.
Yep. Vendetta. I was there. Tito Ortiz and
Vendetta even before that, but Vendetta was 40, and the ramps with the giant pyro things going off, and it was production wise, it looks great. And the real reason that they got rid of it was not due to seats. It was due to it cost a lot.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It cost a lot. And they said, no, we're just going to do walk. And that's what they stuck with. And it's fine. I would rather see, I like the production value of when Pride had theirs or now Ryzen. It's a cool walkout and guys can do a lot of cool things with it. But it's all about the fight.
I love the Pride one more because they do a lot more with it. Not to knock, what anybody else does with the big screens. But Pride does the rainfall. I remember sometimes they've done the snow that falls behind.
Dude, remember when they would put guys on these lifts that went way up into the arena and they would lower them down? It was just like it was dramatic. It was cool.
Yep. Yeah. And there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into all that stuff. But it does cost a lot of money.
A lot of money goes into it.
It costs a lot of money. Yep. And I've got this thing where I feel like the main events, whether you have the walkout stage or not, I should always have the camera facing that locker room door as the main event or co-main event and main event fighters walk out or that door opens. Because I did a video, which
that's the moment.
Yeah, I've done a video and I gotta send it. I gotta have Brian Vega, the guy who did the stuff for San Jose. Him and Amanda and I did a video talking about that lonely walk because you were down cage side actually calling the fights. We had time to do this. Was the walk from the locker room and just seeing it. We had Moldavsky and we had the video footage of Moldavsky. I think Dave should have the footage of that. And it's like we talk about just how lonely it is. And I talked about from the locker room, as you walk down the hall, you feel warm, you feel good, you're still got a sweat. But when you break through the doors of those double doors that go all down the back concrete way, how all of a sudden it gets cold. And if you look behind you, your corner's drifted back about 6-7 feet. So they're no longer like right behind you when you came out of the locker room. And now it's just you. And it's big. You realize how lonely it is right at that moment. And you get down in the loading area and you're bouncing around this and that. And your corner, and Amanda's like, well, where's your corners? And I'm like,
now they're over there out to the front too.
Yeah, they're over there on the side, just leaning against the wall, staying out of your way. You know, most of the time they're not saying anything. They're just looking at you, or they're looking down at the ground, and you know their thoughts are probably like, "Fuck, I hope he wins this fight." That's that's their thoughts. It's a weird feeling, man. Like, and you're, I remember DC would be in the back, and he'd be like, "Let's go, DC! Come on, fuck him up! You're gonna fuck him up!" Like he just amping himself. You're the best, DC. He just talks to himself, gets himself going, amps himself up. And then I've had other fighters that fucking like Paul Bonatello throwing up in the fucking trash can. Didn't matter. Didn't matter what. He's just right before you walk out.
But he needed to.
He
needed to throw up. If he didn't throw up, it was bad.
Almost every fight. Yep. I wouldn't say almost. Actually, every fight. Yeah. When he didn't throw up, or he didn't. The more he threw up, the better he fought. It was such a weird. It was such a weird thing.
Crazy sumbitch.
And then you told the story about Donald Cerrone.
Oh my God!
Like he's in the back hitting mitts. Like, fuck, why am I doing this? Why, man? You said this was the last time. Okay, this is the last time. Yeah. And then he wins, and he's in the fucking cage
next week. I know.
He's like, fucking, I'm just waiting to fight again. Send me a contract. I get it back. You were ready to give it all up.
I know you were retiring back there. I swear to God. Yeah.
Everyone's
if you could have run away, you would have.
Yeah, everyone's different, and it changed. Great. I think it changes too as your life goes on. Because like in the beginning of my career, I loved it. I was like, and even all the way through towards my second stint, I think at the UFC, I loved it. I was like in the back, like, God, fuck, I'm gonna get paid in like 15 or 25 minutes. I love this. This is fucking amazing. And then, after like those last probably 2 or 3 fights in my career, there was more anxiety as I started to walk out. I was like, I think this feeling.
But see, and you're not alone, because you talk to how many guys, even Fedor. You recall, he said, I feel a lot more anxiety now than ever before. And it's because it's getting close. I'm not quite the same. And the fights are more difficult for me now. And
yep.
Great. We'll talk about some of those fights coming up.
Well, I mean, let's go down to Kat Zingano and Leah McCourt.
There you go, right there.
Same exact thing, John. Yes. Right there.
Yep.
If I look at what Kat had done earlier in her career over Raquel Pennington, over Misha Tate, over Amanda Nunes, all of those things, when I look at that, and you look at Leah McCourt, Leah McCourt shouldn't have been a difficult fight for her. Just the way her style is, and the wrestling, she got Kat Zingano got tossed.
Oh my God!
Twice, 2 big ones.
More than
I saw from where. Well, that's just from where I saw. Yeah. I remember I'm like kind of one of the judges in the back corner over there. My view's not always the best from where I'm sitting.
True.
So but I saw the 2, especially I think the one in the 3rd round where she able to hip toss her, get over, and get to the top position. I was like, holy shit! Did she really throw Kat like that? And she did.
Oh my God, she did multiple times. Yeah.
I thought it was a good fight.
It was a great fight. I'll tell you what, Kat fought her ass off and had to get a win against Leah. Doesn't get the credit she deserves now.
No, she doesn't.
I'm going to give credit. Her camp in Liverpool, where with Molly McCann and all that, she has become a much better fighter.
Way better.
And then, you know what? The one thing that you can't measure it. First off, she's physically strong. She doesn't look it. She is. Mm-hmm. And when she grabs people, they realize, oh my God, she's just not this person that I thought I could just ragdoll around. Mm-hmm. And you know what? No matter what, dude, she's a gangster. Mm-hmm. She's tough. She comes to fight, and afterwards I've seen her after fights and talked to her after fights, and she'll break down, as far as, maybe the fight didn't go the way she wanted it to, even when she won, and she'll talk about all these things. I say, hey, and I'll tell her, pat yourself on the back, man. That fight right there, you really look, and this is one of those ones where Kat won the decision. Okay, I'm okay with it. Leah could have won that decision. She had 2 marks, against her, because her face, it was almost like the Dan Henderson Bisping second fight. Bisping's face was a mess. Dan didn't have really a mark on him. And it was 2 rounds that did all that damage on Bisping, and the rest of them, he didn't take anything. It was 2 shots. She got hit with an elbow that puffed her eye out, and she got hit with a knee that cut her good. And, it made her look like a mess. But really, Kat didn't do a lot of damage to her. Other than those 2 shots, she did great damage. But, I mean, it was just a great fight in both of them. The grappling sequences in there were great. And when Kat turned, even at the end, it might have been what won her the fight that got her that round. When she turned at the end in that body triangle and was able to, end up every time, Josh, ended up in the top position.
Yep.
You look and you go, way to go, because that effort, that desire to not stay with where you're at, that I've got to get, through this. I think that's what won her the fight. All right, so we did have a little bit of a glitch there. If you notice, I'm wearing a different shirt. I took the sweatshirt off. Couldn't take it anymore because my man Josh, who lives in communist California with shitty internet, couldn't get his shit to where he kept on popping off. So now we're back. We were talking about the Kat Zingano-Lee McCourt fight, and you were talking with Chris Martello, who we call the Hammer because in Italian, Martello means hammer.
Well,
look at that.
Kind of vague. I think we call him Martello. We call him the Hammer because he's got the hammer.
Tough, dude. Big old fucking...
John, just one thing. I know that you just brought us back in, but just quickly tell me, you can see my screen right now. Yeah. You've got that on there. I know
I've got the screen now.
Right, great.
We're sitting there.
Yep.
All kinds
we
of
can
red
see him.
stuff around it, though. Yeah.
All right, so look, I was talking about Chris Martello, and I was telling him because he was like the guy. He's the person that works side by side with me when I'm doing either sometimes at the desk. And if I'm not at the desk, sometimes he'll be working
great
with
guy.
me.
He's
absolutely
great
fantastic.
Guy.
Fantastic.
Him and Jamie. Whoa.
Yep. And so he's with me when I was doing all the stand-up stuff for this last show. And he kind of helps me with a lot. He helps me with a lot of stuff. And he tells me when I fuck up. He tells me.
He's always talking.
He's always talking to me. He's telling me to slow down. He's telling me, okay, that was good. He's telling me like, you didn't have to say that, But but he's fantastic. But I was explaining to him. I go, Leah has this tendency of always being on top, which is a great tendency. Like, hey, I get the fight to the ground. I'm on top. But then her tendency is to lose the top position over something dumb. It's like she could have mount and then just get like bridged over like as if it was no big deal. She'll have the back and she'll get too high and just like literally fall off on her own, almost Chael Sonnen Fedor type. Like, it's like, what are you doing? I don't understand. So she just has those lapses, and I think that's really what cost her this fight. Now, I do want to pick a little bit on with the judges. 30-27 for Kat.
Oh, ridiculous.
I was like,
ridiculous.
Where the freak did you get that?
Yeah, that was
it was so off the wall. And look, and I said, like, I know the terms robbery are used way too much in the sport. So look, like robbery. You said, no, it definitely wasn't a robbery. But we've said this before. I had it for Leah over Kat, and I'm a huge Kat fan, and Kat knows this. I'm a huge Kat Zingano fan, but it was slight. And like when I said, like, it wasn't a robbery, and whoever it went to, it is what it is.
And you could look at the big damage.
Yep.
Was done by Kat.
Exactly. But that was from just 2 strikes in the whole fight.
Absolutely.
Just from 2 strikes.
But boy, those 2 strikes were nice.
Yes, they were.
Boy, they did some work.
Yep. But when I look at when I'm looking at the 30-27 was just ridiculous. I had it 29-28 the other way, but I don't care. Like it's like it is what it is. When the fights are that close, like we've talked about, judges have a better position from here. Like from my position, right, John, I was behind 6 rows of chairs, or sorry, more than that, probably about 12 rows of chairs. And then I was tucked away into the right side. So I was watching from a pretty far distance. I could see, I had the monitor next to me, but I was going back and forth. And so I didn't have a clear shot. So when the decision came out, I had Leah 29-28. So I was like, oh, 30-27. I go, I was like, Leah didn't win 30-27. And then when it came out for Kat, I was like, whoa, well, I must have missed a lot of this. And then when I asked you said you leaned a little bit more towards Leah also. Am I correct?
Yeah, I did. But it was that I'm looking at it and going, but she did land those 2 shots, especially that knee at the end, was beautifully placed, well timed, everything about it. And I can understand where a judge is looking and saying, well, every time that Leah has got a good position, she's losing it. So that means the Cat's winning these grappling exchanges. And I can understand them saying that.
Yeah.
But I thought Leah was better than what Cat expected.
Yeah.
And that's not saying the Cat walked into it not thinking that she was just going to walk through someone, but I think she was just a little bit stronger, a little bit better in areas, a little bit slicker with her takedowns and her foot sweeps. And we talked about her foot sweeps; they're good.
Yeah,
she really, when she hits it well. So, I thought both ladies fought just an incredible match.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that last little kind of like hip toss / like foot. It was like more of a step across the.
It was almost step across sweep.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Here's the thing. And earlier in the night, somebody else had a judo black belt. I think the girl that Maria fought.
No, the very first fight of the night.
Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about
Maria.
Mackenzie Stiller.
Jesus, she hit a nice takedown too.
Oh,
and then who was the other girl that hit this armbar?
You're talking about Sarah Collins.
Yes. So she hit that one. That I was like, that was another. She threw the head and arm hip toss, got it to the ground, and then I was like, wow. And here's the thing. We talked probably about 4 or 5 months ago. What is the most underutilized sport in MMA? Out of all the martial arts, judo. But I said I've trained with a lot of really good judo guys, and some females, but mainly guys. And if it's the right timing, the right placement, I've seen Olympic caliber wrestlers get hip tossed right to their back.
That's because they're not anticipating the use of the body the same way. They're used to wrestling where it's that push pull and turning and getting angles. Well, it's the same in judo, but it's different. Mm-hmm. And they don't see that foot sweep coming at certain times and just being a little bit off. All of a sudden they're getting light and it's like, I'm okay. No, you're not. Yep. And all of a sudden your feet are coming up and now your feet are up high and your head's down low and it's not going to feel good as you hit the ground.
Yeah, you try shooting like a single leg on judo, man, and they grab a hold of something and they just, whether it's your elbow, your wrist, and plus the lat, they grab the lat and like, you're just like, man, they're just throwing you across your head, man. You're just like, holy shit, how the fuck did my feet get up that high? And so,
that's it. I don't remember my head being here.
I thought this was a good coming out party for judo back into the sport. I mean, realistically, we haven't really seen high level judo in this sport since Carl Parisian.
Yeah.
I know everyone's going to say Ronda Rousey, but Ronda did it.
That's where I was going.
Okay, but
Ronda used, you got to say high level judo, and then you got to say Kayla Harrison too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah, I can't not say her. I
okay.
Can't not.
Yes.
But when I look at all three of them, right? Carl utilized those takedowns, and he did such just crafty, tricky stuff. And I'm gonna also say that he did it at a level of competition that was a little bit higher. And only because females MMA is kind of still behind, John. And it's not just that, but especially in the 155-pound weight class where there is no females.
There's not a lot of female fighters.
There's not a lot. There's not a lot of them. There's a handful of them.
Yeah. But you got to look. And this is the difference that I see, and I say it all the time about women in MMA, and a lot of it's because there are judo players. They do tend to grab the head a lot, comparative to
the overhook and the head.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and when you're looking at someone grabbing the head, most of the time we're going to say, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. But they make it work. And so the thing that was impressive about Caro is Caro would not do that. He would never grab the head. He would hit a whizzer or you do an overhook, sometimes an under, but he did that in a way that most people, you look at it and you just, if you understand the technique behind it, it was super impressive.
Yeah. John, you got your Zoom up?
Do I have my Zoom up? Yes.
Okay, I don't.
Zoom up.
I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to try to add my side.
Add that sucker.
Josh is playing with dangerous game.
This is what led us down the path of destruction.
You know what it is
earlier today.
Zoom has this thing. The first thing you look up from Apple MacBook Pros, if you look it up, the first thing it says is Zoom issue. I know. And I was like, man, there's not really anything you do with it because it's got to be all the updates are together. So whether my laptop or Zoom, they need to be on the same type of update. It's just all fucked up. So hopefully I don't.
Did it work for you?
If you guys hear an explosion, it's Josh's computer.
It's just Josh and his incredibly.
All right, I think we're ready. I think I'm back, buddy. Let's give it a go. We did all the updates. Just took only half the day to get us back on track. But guess what? We are here to deliver this podcast for all of you.
If you guys see John down one more layer in about 20 minutes, that's we probably crashed again.
Yeah, crashed again. All right, we had John Salter taking on Aaron Jeffrey. This is one of those. I'm not going to talk about this long. There's a couple things to say about it. Aaron Jeffrey came into this fight with a ton of confidence. He truly believed, look, nobody in the gym can hold me down. And he's going with guys like Gilbert Burns and a lot of, Kamaru is there at times, Michael Chandler, Logan Storley. He's got a lot of great training partners. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, look, they can't keep me down. There's always that guy, dude. And we knew, and we talked about it. John Salter's a little bit different if he can take you down. He's like Velcro, man. He's hard to get rid of. And Aaron found out just a little bit different. You got to face that guy. You got to train with that guy. You got to see what they do to figure out how am I going to stop or at least get away from what they're doing. He wasn't able to do it. It was John Salter's retirement fight. I want to say that I think John Salter has had just an incredible career. You're talking about a guy with most of his wins were by finish. TKO, KO, mostly submission. And he had just an incredible run. He was a great sportsman. He was always goddamn very, respectful of his opponents.
Always.
He was a great ambassador to the sport. His commercials for Salty Dog Jiu-Jitsu are hysterical. And I just want to tell him that whatever you do, brother, best of luck. You were great to watch. I loved the way you competed and going out with a win. I'm just glad that you're going out healthy and you're going to move on in life with whatever you're doing. You're going to be a great success at that because that's just who you are.
Yeah, I told him, I said, hey, man, the next chapter of life after you retire from
you did. I heard that.
Is fucking so much better. Like, people don't realize how much you give up to be an athlete, and to be an MMA athlete is completely different than these guys that are giving it up for the NFL and for the NBA and for baseball. And I know they sacrifice. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just simply saying the amount of money at the end of the rainbow is a lot more in those other sports. And not that
go ahead.
It's
also different in the fact that, you know what, as a fighter, you don't have a season. And all of a sudden, you just had a fight, a promoter can be calling you.
Uh-huh.
And you've got to then say no. And that's not easy to do, even though people think it is. It's not.
Because I do recall there was times when a promoter would call, and I'm going to leave the names out of it, is that they would call and say, hey, I need you to fight. I'm like, if you say no, they legit told me, like, fine, then you'll just sit on the bench for 6 months.
Yep.
I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like, it is what it is, man. But then, Pride used to call me all the time. Hey, we need you to fight. But they would call you on 1 week's notice. And then they wanted you to fight. Yeah, that was planned. But then they'd try to offer you like a lowball thing, money. Yeah. And then when they didn't pay you, you're like, hey, you're like, no. Then you always said no at first because you knew they were going to come back with an even better offer. But they would also threaten, like, okay, well, fine, we just won't use you in our next couple of shows. And they always paid more than the UFC, and they always paid more than Strikeforce and everyone else, at the time. So, yeah, and Pride was gone before Strikeforce, really, kind of around that time. But yeah, it's I don't know. You just can't say no. You got to stay active. Like Daniel James. I'm sorry, but we're fighting in Chicago. You just came off your win.
How's that leg?
Already know. How's that leg? I can just see Scott Coker's wheels turning. We got to have him there. We got to have him there. And I knew that, and I just know that his wheels are like, man, because that guy sells. He'll sell 3,000 tickets, no problem. No problem himself in that arena. And you got to remember, he was the lead bodyguard for the rapper Twista. He's born there. He does community work there all throughout the schools, what are they called? Like the community centers. He goes to the schools. Yep. He donates his time and spends time with the youth. And he's such a nice guy. Talk about a big giant, man. Big cuddle bear giant, that guy. He's absolutely amazing. But look, my thing with John Salter is Congratulations on such a career. I looked at him like a John Fitch, like a Jake Shields, Matt Lindland. Guys that, sometimes people didn't think they were exciting, but they were exciting because they got finishes. People don't even appreciate the fin. Like John Fitch had 9 of his 11 fights of his wins and his, leading up to his title shot, they were finishes. It was after he got his title shot that things started to go astray. The same thing with John Salter. He's tons of finishes in all of his fights. And then as he started losing, he had some problems. But then the competition starts getting younger and you start getting older. And so they're always hard. Fighting those young guys is going to be hard. Aaron Jeffrey, he's someone that was riding on that win streak, that confidence, like you said. And he thought, I can't be held down. I've had luck. He never wrestled in high school. He got to wrestle a little bit at Rocky Mountain, I think, college or whatever it was, right up in...
It's Brock College.
Brock College in Canada. And he's like, he wasn't on the team, but he just wrestled with the guys, after season, outside of season, or whenever he could get in there with them. And it's different when you're fighting someone like a John Salter, John Fitch, Jake Shields. They have a game plan. Their game plan is to be relentless in chasing the takedowns. And if you can get them moving backwards, the chances of you winning are good. But Jeffries kept trying to push, and John wasn't backing up. And then when you try to do that, you make yourself susceptible to being taken down, and that's exactly what happened. So Jeffries will be back. Salter will not, and he's going to enjoy that retirement, man. He's going to enjoy. Bro, I got to be honest, though. He's got some of the most fucked up ears, John Salter. I think outside of Walid Ismail, he's probably number 2, somewhere in there. Walid's ears are fucked as well.
There's a couple guys. He does it just. I always say this thing. He kind of looks like, if you look at like a '66 Volkswagen with the doors open from the rear.
You're fucked up. That's what they look like. But he is the nicest guy. Oh, Salter.
He's a really good guy.
My man, I'm going to miss you. Best of luck in the next chapter of your life. Next fight.
Archie Colgan against Justin Montalvo. I love this fight. I love both guys. Archie Colgan he's going to be something special. The dude can wrestle his ass off. His striking has now gotten really good. He's got a big gas tank.
He's got a beard on him too, John.
Yeah, he does.
He's got a beard on him, buddy. He took some shots in that fight.
Yep, and I know Justin Montalvo is upset that with the loss, first loss of his career. The guy's got nothing to be upset with. First off, he's got a great camp that he's with Ray Longo. They've done a phenomenal job with him because this kid goes to the body so well.
Yep,
and that's a talent. It is a talent that is underutilized in our sport. He is mentally tough. He wants to fight. He doesn't go out there to gain points. He wants to put you away. You know what? I know he's upset that he got the L. Don't worry about it, dude. You just keep fighting the way you are, and you're going to be doing big things in this sport. You've got all the things necessary. Just keep learning, and he's going to make that one up. But I thought it was a great win by Archie Colgan.
I think Archie, though, I look at him like, man, you're too small for the weight class because it's lightweight. But he is thick, he's stacked, and he obviously has power, and he can wrestle, man. He can scramble, he can wrestle.
Yep.
I look at when guys make decisions to fight in weight classes, I'm like, man, you're a little too small for that weight class. Why not just fight your ass off in that weight class until, if you get a couple losses and you think you can make, 45, then go to 45. But right now, he's right up there, man, because when I start looking at the guys in the lightweight division, they're all studs. But a lot of them are strikers.
Yep.
They can't wrestle like him.
Nope.
And
he was fighting 170.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at him. I'm like, bro, these guys and these guys in lightweight. I know I speak very highly of like Tawfiq Mosaev, Alexander Shabley, Brent Primus, like these guys. And obviously the champ Usman Nurmagomedov. He's probably the one that can wrestle the most.
Yeah, I
know he's the champ, but there's a good reason why he's the champ is because he can wrestle, and a lot of them know that he can wrestle. Patricky can wrestle also, but it's not the level of like a good hardcore grinding style wrestler, which Archie Colgan is. So Montalvo, man, I can't wait to watch you fight again. That fight wouldn't have been as exciting without you.
Yep,
and that's what people forget. It takes two fighters to come in the center and get after it, and both of them did it. Neither one of them backed down. And man, Montalvo was going to the body, and Archie was going to the head. Montalvo was coming back up to the body. It was into the head. I mean, it was a nasty fight, John. It was back and forth. Just one was able to have a little bit more power on his punching, and it was pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
I was
Just
pretty
hit the
impressed.
spot a little bit better. Yeah, great fight. Luke Trainer taking on unbeaten Sullivan Colley. It was so this fight was so when we were looking at it, we were talking because Luke Trainer was 5-0 with 5 first-round finishes, and he goes into a fight. Supposedly he was not well going into the fight, but he never used it as an excuse. I'm giving it to him now, and he lost a decision, got his butt kicked by Simon Bouillon, and Sullivan Colley coming in this fight 5-0, 5 finishes, first round. And it was one of those, it was almost like meant to be. It's like just a little swapping of the places.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Trainer, he did what he said. I'm gonna press. I'm gonna make him, he's gonna want to come into me, and then I'm gonna try to beat him up from there. He did a great job as soon as he, got on top, dude, he's locked the choke in beautifully. The way he did it was very nice. And he's showing he's evolving as a fighter. And I thought that, he switched camps. He's now with the Great Britain top team, and got Brad Pickett and Ashley Grimshaw doing a great job with him.
I love
Ashley,
Brad Pickett, man.
Oh, dude, he's hysterical.
He's a crack up. I remember watching him in Cage Warriors, Cage Rage. I can't remember. Anyways, Baroni fought on one of them, and he was the main event. I was at their corner in Baroni.
He fought Baroni? No way.
No. I said he was fighting on the undercard.
Okay,
he was on the undercard, and Baroni was the main event against Scott Jansen, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Baroni knocked him out like the first round, but it was a great.
Oh no, I remember that. That was the one they stood Baroni up from Mount.
Yeah, they stood him up
for no reason. He was actually doing work
for no reason. That's the one where Scott Jansen's brother headbutted Baroni after the fight in the center of the cage, and then me and Mark Coleman fucking started swinging on dudes.
Dude, why
do you?
What
is going on? I was like, what the fuck is going on? Some shit. Anyways,
big win by Luke Trainer, and then he went and proposed to his girl Holly, and luckily she accepted.
John,
she didn't. It wouldn't have looked good.
That was the funniest line ever. I can't wait to put some babies in you.
I know. I was like, okay, that's a new one for me. As far as I've heard it, I've heard it, but I've never heard it put out on national TV.
I love you. I've always loved you, and I can't wait to put some babies in you. What the fuck? Luke Trainer, my guy. You got to keep that shit to yourself.
No, it was great, Luke. You go ahead, man.
Gosh,
you are going to live in infamy, man. That one's going to stay.
Next fight.
That was great. Christian Edwards against Raheem Cleveland. Listen, I'm just going to go to the end of this. Both guys getting a little tired at the end. That guillotine, I don't care if it was tight or not. There is a submission. Christian Edwards says he didn't tap. You did. And anytime you tap during a submission, it's going to be called, because what is the fighter who is applying the submission going to do? It's going to start to release. You can sit there and say, I didn't mean to tap. I'll believe you. Okay, you didn't mean to, but you did. And since you did, the fight's over. Now, if you had tapped while, he was, in your guard and there was nothing being applied, it's not going to be counted. It has to be counted when there's a submission.
Wow.
So the right thing was done by Jonathan Romero. The referee in that did the right thing. He stopped it.
That 10-finger guillotine, right, is I used to wrestle with a guy out of Stanford University. His name was Todd Sermon. And he was the first guy I'd ever seen use that
Remember
on
Scott
me.
Jorgensen?
Yeah, I remember Scott Jorgensen.
Boy, he used to put it on people.
Well, Todd Sermon was before Scott Jorgensen was probably born. So, Todd that was when Frank was getting ready, I think, for John Lober. Remember how he walked out in a Stanford wrestling shirt?
Yep.
He was using Todd Sermon as his wrestling guy, because he took fourth, I believe it was fourth or fifth in nationals. And so Todd had that tall, long, lanky body or whatever for utilizes. No, sorry, he was using Todd for Tito Ortiz. And Todd wasn't a big guy. I think he wrestled like 54s or 62s, I think, at the time, or 60s or something like that. And he's the first person I'd ever seen use that, and he choked the shit out of Frank Shamrock unconscious. Hit him, boom. Frank thought he could get out. Todd lifted him up off the ground with it, and Todd had that belly he could suck in. He was like a beanpole, but he could suck his stomach in enough
you could vacuum it.
His head, Frank's head got stuck in the rib cage.
Yeah,
and he just fucking locked on and out cold. We were like standing over Frank, waking him up. It's fucking being honest, man. Hey, because that motherfucker got me in there. He got me on it too, like 3 or 4 times. Like, you son of a bitch.
Yep.
But he was good. That guy could. He was the wrestler that died in Las Vegas to grab the light pole. On the year 2000 he climbed the light pole in Vegas on 2000, the millennial New Year's Eve.
Okay, yeah.
He climbed up on the thing, and as he was making adjustments to position himself because they were on the strip, and he was riling everyone up, and he reached up and grabbed the live wire.
Oh!
And died. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll kill you.
Yep. It was a friend of mine and a bunch of us. Man, it was crazy. Couldn't believe it, dude. There it is, right there. Yep. And here's the thing. They greased this. Let me tell you, this guy, he's such an athlete. They greased those poles. He still got up there. Yep. I got a picture of him, John. This kid was so insanely athletic. But I got a picture of him, kid you not. He climbed over the edge. There was like a little box, like a electrical box, not a little one, but it was a pretty big size one. Over the edge of the Golden Gate Bridge. It was on the outside of the fucking rope and doing a one-handed handstand on the outside of it. He just that was him, man. If you look it up, you can see, if you look up Todd Sermon, like pictures or whatever it is, he's got some crazy ass pictures of him. I think it's S-U-R. Might be S-U-R. I think it's S-U-R. Not Sherman. Sermon.
Sorry, that was a Google correction.
Yeah. I think it's S-U-R. S-U-R. Yep.
I mean,
yep. He wrestled at Stanford.
There
yep,
you
there
go.
he is. There he is.
It's funny you're saying long bean pole, and I'm thinking who else was like that? Rico Ciparelli.
Yeah, he wrestled at Stanford. He was a fucking stud, man. Nope, that's not him. The first one you clicked on was him. Yep, that's him. This guy was an animal, dude. We'd go to nightclubs sometimes in San Francisco, and everyone always tried to fuck with him because he loved to dance. He was like that. He could fucking pop and lock. He could do everything. I was really impressed. He had a great personality. Absolutely amazing person, man. And he was so athletic. You got videos of him doing one-handed handstands on cars while they were driving. He was like his trick, his little thing, man. He'd be on the hood of the car doing.
How the hell do you balance yourself while the car's driving?
I don't know, but he was.
Jesus.
He at his house they had a rock climb, not a rock climb wall. They had a rope climb. It was a what was it called? It was a
rope climb.
It was a rope climb, but it was a house that had 3 stories, like 2.5 stories there, but it had vaulted ceilings. So he got up there and put a rope up there. He could climb the rope upside down, no legs. He could climb it up with no legs. He could do one hand, and then he would hold, and then he'd go here one hand, and he'd just hop up like this.
Jeez.
With one hand. This kid was insanely strong, just so athletic and so mobile. He was fucking insane, absolutely insane. All right,
Well, all right.
little
So
tribute to my boy.
There
Rest
you go.
easy,
That was
rest
good,
easy,
though.
my guy. Rest easy.
we had a fight between Mike Hamill and Nick Brown. Kind of talked about that earlier. Fast, but it was the right thing by Frank Trigg. Nick Brown went out. He got freaking frozen. You could see when a guy goes face down the way he did, and then he went flat. Great win for Mike Hamill. Quick win. And Hamill's a little bit on a roll now. I think that's 3 in a row for him because they brought him in. His first opponent that he got on 1 week's notice was Adam Borch at 145. They moved it to 150 so he could make weight. Then his next, Usman Nurmagomedov. How do you go? Do they not like poor Mike Hamill?
Was that
Three
even a
wins
1
in a
week?
row now.
Was that even a 1 week notice fight against Adam Borch? I thought it was that week.
Dude, it was right on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was the week of the fight.
It was the
Crazy.
week of the fight, and I think
And he put on a hell of a performance. It was a split decision.
because he was already there. That's why
Is that
he
what
was
it
there
was?
for Benson. Benson was there because Benson was fighting, and I think he got on that card.
Well, put on a hell of a fight. So
Yeah,
he's really turning it on. 3 fights
Yep.
in a row. That's 3 wins in a row.
yeah.
Well, he's looking great. And he says, you watch, I'm going to get 10 in a row. They're going to give me a championship fight. There's that 10 in a row again. Same thing that Umar's talking about.
Yeah, see, it was Chandler versus Henderson too. That's why he was there.
You're
He
right.
was already there
You're
for
right.
cornering or coaching or cornering or whatever for
For Benson.
Benson. So, yeah, he's on a roll right now, man. I'm happy for him. He's a stud. He's a super nice guy. Bryce Logan, Achilles Mota. Achilles Mota's tough.
Yep.
Nick Brown now finished. Got
Bryce
3 in a
Logan.
row. Here you go, buddy. You're on that run. Got to keep it going.
That's it.
I like him, man. He brings the action. That's what I like. That's what I like about Montavo.
Yep.
Bring the action.
That's it.
You know, like
Go out there, man.
I
Live
said
or
it.
die on the sword, but go out swinging.
I said it earlier on the show, man. I'd have to explain to these fighters, you guys gotta fucking bring it. If you're not bringing it, don't expect to keep your contracts long. Because if you lose 2 and they both suck, what's the point of me having you if you can't be entertaining? At the end of the day, combat sports, especially this sport and boxing, they're the entertainment business.
Yep, they are.
Boxing has kind of forgotten that a little bit. You know, they all talk the shit, but fuck, man, sometimes they don't box and they don't fight. They stick, you know, they make it look pretty. Like, I was not a big fan of Mayweather because he made it look so easy, and I know he was damn good, but it's like, man, it gets to a point where he could have put guys away, but he was just playing with his food. You know, that's why, like, guys like Pacquiao, right? It was just nice he just went after you. As he got older, kind of got away from that a little bit, but I understand why. Next fight.
My man Dave is slow with his stuff.
He is.
Adam Piccolotti against Mandel Nallo. I'll let you talk all about that. I thought great fight. And Adam Piccolotti really showing how good he can be, how he can start to let a fight get away from him, and then how he can bring it back.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen, look, Adam and I have been training partners. I've known this kid since he was 14, 15 years old. Fantastic young man. He is absolutely one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Just a young talent. He's been with Raul Castillo since he was a young kid as well. They both used to train with a guy that I was supposed to fight in the UFC, and they both got away from him around the same time. And they opened up and Raul opened up his own spot and trained. They trained together, and Raul Castillo's built his grappling pretty much from the ground up, and he's done a great job with him. One of the brighter guys, I think, in the MMA, in the jiu-jitsu MMA world is Raul Castillo. But Adam, I gave him a harsh talk in the back afterwards. No matter how much I care for you, buddy, I go, and I say this to a lot of the guys, and I think maybe that's why I'm not, as, people don't talk as highly of me, because when you're my friend, I have the reality, a very harsh truth is there in situations.
Yeah, I
like
don't
this.
do that at all.
Yeah. But that's
Makes
probably
us
why we
both
get
mad.
along. And I'm okay with a conversation, and I'm okay with being told, hey, you're right, you're wrong. But with him, I said, you gave away the Benson fight. That was your fight to have. I go, and then you turned around, then you lost, I think, another one after that. And then with the Adam fight, this fight, you almost gave it away again. This sport is just like boxing, it's momentum. Most sports are momentum based. Once the momentum starts to turn, it's hard to catch it up. It's hard to get it back. It's hard to catch it. You can't just turn it with a switch. He had to a little bit in that third round, but he also just got started late. I was like, what are you doing, man? Even in the third round, get after it. You went from dominating the first round, having a good first round, to losing the second, and you lost it by just a little bit too. Like, you could have done so much more. Had you just done a little bit more, you probably could have won it, but you gave it away. You just said, it's okay. I'm okay. And I got on him in the back, and I said, you could be so much, you'd be ranked so much higher. You would have probably been in the lightweight tournament. But you just a couple little miscalculations in what's going on in the fight, and you lost a couple in a row. Quick on Adam, because he lost to Benson. He lost to Outlaw first, I think, right? Or Benson first. He lost to one of them first.
Lost to Benson first, lost to Outlaw, hurt his knee, then he lost to Barnaby.
Yeah, so Jake Smith. So Benson.
Yep. Got to win against
Benson,
Jake Smith.
Yep. And then Jake Smith, and then Sidney Outlaw, and then
Which was a great fight.
Karhanian. Yeah. Against Karhanian.
See, the Karhanian one, you look and you go, it was not the Adam Piccolotti that we know can compete.
Mm-hmm. But he still won the fight.
Huh?
No.
Against Georgie, yeah.
Yeah, he won that
still.
fight. But with Monsieur Barnaoui, he got out grappled, and that's like his forte.
Oh yeah.
So with Mandel Nallo, he almost gave the fight away. And Mandel Nallo, we had a talk with him too afterwards. We ran into him at the restaurant there, and was like, I'm not trying to tell you how to beat my friends. So John did. And and I was like, hey, I couldn't disagree. Had Mandel Nallo kicked a little bit more, whether the calf, whether to the body, whatever it was, he probably could have got Adam to stop shooting, or at least not press the action.
He's got to fight more.
Yeah. You can't let the fights just get away from you like that.
Yeah, and that happens when you're only fighting once a year. I'm okay with someone if they want to be a part-time fighter. Okay. don't expect, to be, getting anywhere, because repetition makes you where you don't get nervous. You don't get the same feeling. You're calm in situations. You're able to take over when things aren't going right. You know how to change it, and you've done it in the last couple fights, and it's all rote memory for you. When you haven't fought, in a year, every time you walk out under those lights, it has an effect, because I haven't been here for a while, and you got to be there you got to say, I'm in this. I want to fight. Give me fights. And I think Mandel-Nala will be so much better if he would just take more fights, because the guy's skilled. He's got talent.
He's so good. He's got some nasty kicks. That spinning back kick he landed coming out of the second round, coming out of the first round into the second round was beautiful.
Look, he can do it all.
Yeah.
But he makes just mental breakdowns in the fight that allows things to slip away. But it was a good fight. Sarah Collins against Pam Sorensen. Man, Sarah Collins 3-0, comes out, shows why she was on the Australian judo national team for so long. She takes Pam Sorensen down right into Kezakatami, scarf hold, whatever you want to call it, and dominated the position. And that's not an easy position.
No.
It's not an easy position to hold. But a lot of, especially jiu-jitsu people, think that, I'm going to just take someone's back. Not against a good judo player, you're not, because they're so versed at keeping your arm in a certain position up off of the ground, and your shoulders, they're not allowing your shoulders to turn. You don't get it to where you're more towards your side. You're flat on your back, and your waist only turns so far, and they start to lock in, the arm locks, either be it the Americana or the straight arm lock. Man, the legs are strong. It bends that arm in a nasty way, and that was a beautiful submission win by Sarah Collins.
Absolutely insane. There was the judo guy that was on the Koscheck team. He was on Koscheck's Ultimate Fighter team. Shavkat or Shavkat or I don't know. I can't remember. It's not Shav. I'm thinking of Shak.
No. Savat.
Yeah, that guy. He was freakishly strong.
Oh yeah, he was out of Carl Parisian's camp.
Yeah,
that was.
He's on the Ultimate Fighter.
Magakian. Yeah, down there at the bottom, you see where it says Savak, S-E-V.
Down, not up. There you go. Yeah.
Team Koscheck,
Savak.
Right there. Boom. No, go over.
Yeah,
right there.
I was looking for a last name.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
So yeah, he was fantastic. He brought another one of his friends that came and trained with us too. That guy had power in his hands, very strong, super strong.
Yeah, his judo was good.
Didn't have a very high fight IQ.
Nope.
But he
would get into a brawl when he shouldn't.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he was good. But he liked to hit that little scarf hold, like try to hit that arm bar
all the time.
Yeah, he just, man, I couldn't get out. I kept thinking I could get to his back. I couldn't get away.
Yep.
So I just knew once.
People think, I'll just take his back. No, you won't.
Once you fight,
I've tried. And again, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not like I was like, I thought I'll be able to. No, not against a good judo player. Against an average one, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Against a good one, not that easy to do.
Next.
All right. Then we had Jefferson Creighton taking on Joey Davis. This was Joey Davis coming back after a long layoff. Jazzy Creighton, Jazzy Jeff as they call him, really fought a good, smart fight. But the real thing about this was Joey Davis won the wrestling match. Joey Davis lost the fight. It's MMA. It's not a wrestling match. It doesn't matter how much you are taking people down if you're not doing anything with those takedowns. I believe Joey Davis had 7 to 8 takedowns. But every time he hit the ground, he was still wrestling, no submissions, and Creighton is throwing shots, and he's elbowing him, and he's landing shots. And you take a look at the stats in strikes, and they're off the charts one way for Creighton. And you look and you go, you gotta mix it all together. You cannot be just a wrestler in MMA and expect to get the decision win, and he didn't.
Yeah. What is that, Dave?
Sorry, I was trying to pull up your MMA decisions.
Chris Crail is the one that went with Joey Davis, and I talked to him about that, and he tried to explain why. And I said, let me ask you a simple question. I go, you also went with, another person in these fights, why did you go with him? Well, he was landing more shots. Okay, so when Joey Davis was taking people down, what damage was he doing? I said, were they high amplitude takedowns? Was he picking them up and slamming him? He goes, no. I said, was he throwing any punches, any elbows, doing any damage, setting up submissions? No. How do you win a fight if you're not fighting?
Yeah. Which sucks because I believe that's the first loss for Joey Davis since like middle school.
It is.
Being honest, that's what I was told. That he has
that's not true.
Are you sure?
That's not true. Yeah. Positive.
Okay. I heard he didn't lose in high school either. And he lost.
You talking about wrestling matches?
Yeah. I mean, like, what else has he lost in?
Well, he lost when he went to beat the streets in New York. I'm trying to think of. Got it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he doesn't lose much.
No, but still, man.
But
kid can wrestle.
Boy,
He's
he can.
good.
Lucas Brennan taking on Josh San Diego. Look, man, Lucas Brennan, he's doing everything right. His dad's doing everything right. He's being smart with his career, and he's sticking with what he's good at. Josh San Diego is a good fighter. We know that. He's got good stand-up. He's got good takedown defense. Not great off his back. And Lucas took him down, got the rear naked choke. He did it in a really nice fashion. That's what he's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Don't try to strike with the guy who can outstrike you. Go, make him fight in your world. And that's what he does. And that's what makes him, at 22 years of age, really impressive.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Look, this was a step up in competition. I don't care what anyone says. I've trained with Josh San Diego. I've sparred with Josh San Diego. I know how good he is. He's crafty. Like, he's got experience. When I trained with him, he was a lot younger. So I was kind of like the position where I was more of the more veteran of higher level competition. But he would come in like on my 5th round for some sparring. I would utilize him for some stuff. He's gotten a lot better in his takedown defense. He's got a lot better on the ground off of his back. He was mainly a kickboxer when I was training with him.
Yep.
And so I would use him for all the guys that, had mainly just kickboxing experience that I was fighting. But he's gotten so much better. I was concerned a little bit for Lucas because if he couldn't get him down, he would be stuck standing. And in the stand-up war, I was going to give Josh the nod.
Sure.
Absolutely. So Lucas fought a good fight, man. He fought a smart fight, got the fight to the ground. And one thing that he is good at, not one thing, he's good at a lot of things. But when he gets you down, he's a finisher. He's chasing the submissions. He's not just trying to control you.
No, he doesn't give a shit about it. And it's one of the things, if you watch him, we always talk about position before submission. Mm-hmm. And there are times when, he's going for it. Because he'll transition from one to the next. Yeah. He's that good because he grew up on the mats. Sometimes it would be nice to slow down a little bit. Yeah. But what are you going to say, man? Fantastic. He's just getting better. Expect big things out of him.
Next fight.
Vladimir Tokov taking the O away from Lance Gibson Jr. Lance Gibson, I think, was 7-0. Tokov goes in there, landed, and he landed a big shot, but it didn't look like it affected Lance Gibson, but it did. And then a jab put him on his butt, and it was over with a couple more shots off of that. He was knocked unconscious. He had no idea what happened. Big win in a fast fashion against a super athletic guy. And I really thought in that fight going in, I was like, Tokov needs to just take his time and he needs to get past the athleticism of Gibson and then start to, just keep the pressure on him. Nope. Big shot.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
There was fights when we were talking about fights we possibly would get rounds out of and possibly fights we wouldn't.
Yeah, I thought that one.
You thought you were going to get rounds out of it.
I did.
Yep. And I thought that Lance Gibson was going to do too much and the punching power would be too much and he would make Tokov respect his punching power too much. So he would circle, stay away, and chase the takedowns. Yeah. Obviously, that didn't happen. But then the same thing with Joey Davis. I thought Joey Davis was going to be a little bit more crafty on the feet because I've seen him before on the feet. Spinning back kicks, spinning this, spinning that.
Whole lot of stuff.
Side kicks. He can do it all, and these two guys shouldn't have lost their O's. So, I mean, I know with Lance, I know he trained, and I know Joey trained also, but I'm saying, like, it just seemed like both of these guys were being slated to be the next up and coming and taking a loss. I mean, maybe we're going to see a loss maybe they'll take the loss like how Luke Trano took the loss. Come back and just come on and explode, learn a lot from it. Don't get ahead of yourselves, but I still expect a lot of big things out of Lance Gibson and Joey Davis, both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you're gonna fall down. Let's just get back up, figure out how it happened, and get better. Randy Field had a very nice win against Ashley Cummins, decision victory, used her stand-up. Let's go past that to Bryce Meredith, who, man, he looked fantastic. We know Bryce from the wrestling world. He is an incredible wrestler. He used it, but he also used all kinds of MMA skills. His hands look good. When he got in the top position, he was doing damage, and he just basically wore Brandon Carrillo down. It ended in the second round, and I'll give Brandon Carrillo credit, man. He was tough because he could have quit in a lot of situations in there. It was not one bit of it was good for him, really.
Yeah.
And he just hung in there and hung tough and was trying to fight his way out of everything. So Bryce Meredith is looking good. 135 pounds. Another bantamweight. Look at that.
One. Next, last one.
Tough. Mackenzie Stiller coming out against Maria Henderson, Benson Henderson's wife. We'd seen Maria as an amateur in Bellator. She'd won one fight as a professional with LFA. She was 1-0 coming in. Mackenzie Stiller was 0-0. This was her pro debut. But, you and I had talked about it. I said, hey, watch out for Mackenzie Stiller.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And she's good. She's tough.
I hadn't seen her fight. And I was like, okay, I was expecting Maria to kind of like stick and move because I had talked to her. She's like, look, we know that she's got judo. We know that she's kind of crafty on the ground. But then she punched her way right into a clinch because she's like, I'm going to stand. I've been working on my stand-up a lot. I'm going to stand. And then she got too close. She got into the clinch, and then, boom, the fight hit the ground. She threatened that leg lock. Yeah, she had the potential of hitting that reverse heel hook.
Yeah.
But Stiller did a great job of keeping her foot flat on the ground and kind of posturing up, beating the knee. And once she beat the knee, it was over, man. She was able to get to the top position and
that was one of those things as you're watching the fight. As soon as she beat that knee, so there was no way that was ever going to work. Maria has to say, abandon ship with that. Let me either get to a better position, get myself back to my feet. That didn't happen. Held it a little too long, and that happens when you're in that, and all went downhill from there. But she'll be back.
Exactly.
And Mackenzie Stiller, I can't wait to watch you fight again. So,
all right, before we carry on to Gamebred Boxing and the PFL, I wanted to remind you guys that it is a free subscription over at onlyfans.com/weighing-in. We have partnered with them. We are the only podcast, not the only, but the very first podcast that they have ever worked with. And they're in hopes that we were going to bring more of the sports world to their platform. That's what we're looking to do. I talked to a lot of people this last weekend at the Bellator event. They're like, yeah, I heard you guys are with OnlyFans. And I said, yeah, once I explained
that's right. We're getting naked, baby.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, buddy.
We are doing commercials and stuff, but we're getting close.
Yes, we are. Well, some of us are. Oh, man. But overall, guys, I mean, look, it's been a good experience for us. We've had a lot of interaction with our fans. And I don't want to say too much up close and personal, but no, we've had a lot of interaction with the fans over there at onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Join us over there. It's free. We're taking our fan questions from there. You guys can go ahead and hit us up in the DMs too if there's anything you guys would like us to answer, or if there's anything you guys want, like say for Big John to talk through or show video of, on paperwork in terms of reffing or judging or any of that stuff. He can help you guys with that, and I can help you guys with any types of techniques. So if you guys want jiu-jitsu techniques, combination techniques, any of that stuff, you guys need video footage, you guys let us know. No, I will not show you my butthole. Okay, no matter what you say. But the rest of it is at onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe.
So that's where the limit is, huh?
That's
butthole.
Kind of where the limit is. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, you were suntanning that sucker, so I don't know.
At least until I bleach it. All right, guys. Let's go. Let's
talk
go
about
ahead.
OnlyFans. There was a bunch of these fighters that were
absolutely
sponsored by OnlyFans here on the Gamebred Boxing 4. I'm not going to talk about the preliminary card or anything. I did watch Joe Riggs with the injury in I think it was the third round of his fight and stuff, but it's a fairly close fight back and forth. Joe Riggs walked away. First one I want to talk about. Kleckler does not get enough credit. He's actually a decent boxer. And Josh Burns found that out. It's like, I don't care how big and strong you are. Your chin does not have muscle on it. And if you leave it out there to be hit, someone's going to put you down. First round TKO for Dylan Kleckler, that was a nice win.
You would have thought that Burns would have brought his left hand up after he got dropped the first time. But no, he came back out and that shit dropped all the way back down to his
it's down to his waist.
To his titty. Yeah. I was like, what the come on, buddy. Use your head, man. Yeah. Dylan Kleckler, he looked good.
Yeah, he did. He looked really good. We had Gina Manzani going against Pro Gonzalez. It was a great fight. They both fought their asses off. I actually liked the draw. I thought the draw was about right. I thought they both had their moments in the fight. But Gina Manzani ends up taking a majority decision from Pro Gonzalez. But I loved her afterwards. Yeah, she's, I love this and all that stuff. Good. Continue on with it. You look good. You boxed well. You were aggressive. The whole thing. Devin Cushing, a good boxer, going against Damian Marciano. Not that good a boxer. Just wasn't a competitive fight. Devin Cushing just walked through him the whole fight. The fight that was actually a really well-contested boxing match.
Yes.
Luis Feliciano versus Clarence Booth. These guys were going at it.
But they could box.
Both of them. Both of them.
I was like, why is Luis Feliciano below the other guys?
I know.
And I know they're my guys, man.
Thing.
I know I'm all for
the same thing.
I was like, this kid, he's good. And Clarence Booth was pretty damn good also.
Damn straight they both, but it was
a good fight.
And you looked at it and I understand, Clarence Booth was upset afterwards. No, look, the harder shots were landed by Feliciano throughout the fight and they got it right.
Yep.
But it was, great matchup between the both. Clarence Booth, you fought your ass off. Thank you so much for the effort because you definitely made that fight. It was competitive throughout. Let's get into the MMA guys that were fighting. We had Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stevens. This had taken place in MMA. Jose Aldo had won that. And
with a body shot.
Body shots, yeah.
It was a body shot.
And this ended up being declared a majority draw. I was a little surprised by it. I really liked the way Jeremy Stevens fought. And answer me this. Tell me if I'm wrong. Because as I was watching it, I love watching Jose Aldo fight. But there's something missing when it's not MMA because, without the kicks and everything. And he was so disciplined. I'm going to say disciplined. Kept his hands up high a lot. Beautiful straight jab. It was quick. It was sharp. It snapped out. But didn't throw near as much as Jeremy. Jeremy had more volume. He blocked a lot of Jeremy's shots, though. And then that's where I'm looking and going, I think a lot of those were blocked. You're giving credit to someone throwing, but it's got to hit something other than shoulders or arms. But overall, I'm not upset with it. I thought Jeremy fought his ass off. I thought he looked good in the boxing ring. And I thought Aldo looked good in the boxing ring. It's just that I'm kind of missing something from him compared to MMA.
I think with Jose, right? Like we're used to him being able to change the dynamic of a fight with his kicks. And even though towards the end of his career, he definitely was not kick
kind of went away from it.
He was more of a boxer. And that's why I think that's why he looks so good in his boxing is because he's been boxing mainly in his MMA fights. And that's a lot of reasons why he's losing, why he started losing his MMA fights. And even though he was still fighting the top dogs at the top when he decided to walk away from the sport. He's got the pop in his hand still. He's got some speed still. Where he lacks is the endurance because of the age. It's the output and the age, and that happens. Like you realize
not that old though.
I know, John, but it just
he's not that old.
He's been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
I mean, and here's the other thing is, I can almost guarantee because didn't he play like semi-pro soccer? Or was like on a really good soccer team, I guess, as a young kid, and that's what I recall being told to me for a long time. I never looked it up, so I'm not sure. Maybe you can verify that, Dave. I don't know. But I know he owns a part of a soccer team, I believe, is what they were telling me. So that being said, he's going to, all the years that I've played soccer, all the years that I have done kickboxing fights and I've done MMA fights, bro, my hips hurt me all the time. All the time. And like we were just talking with Hans Molenkamp from Monster, and he just had a hip replacement. And I have a close friend of mine, Abel Carrasco, fought in Bellator, he fought in Strikeforce, really good kickboxer, fought in the U.S. national team against in Muay Thai, phenomenal kickboxer. hip replacement. Fucking 33, 34 years old, hip replacement. From all the years of checking kicks, delivering kicks back, all of those things. So when I look at Jose,
torque on the hip.
I'm assuming he's got some sort of hip issue. That or his foot or his ankle or whatever. But I'm thinking it's a hip thing. Like it's hard for him to probably kick. But from soccer to kickboxing to MMA, all of those things, I'm happy to see him. I'm happy to see him doing boxing. At least I get to still watch him fight. But it does change. It changes a lot. When I look at him, when I was watching him, I'm like, dude, you should be throwing knees. You should be throwing your kicks. But it was a good fight. I like the fact that the two of them really laid it on the line. There was some great exchanges in there. All those
fought
things,
their asses off.
But it was one of the better fights definitely one of the better fights of the night, if not the best fight.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, when I look at I almost fell asleep a little bit during the Ronaldo and their Jacare and Belfort fight.
Yeah.
I almost fell asleep. I was like nodding in and out. I was like, fuck, man. So yeah, it was so one dimensional. It was so one sided, and I was like, it just wasn't the fight that I expected it to be. And I kind of
really, it was the exact fight. Actually, I'm going to give Jacare, who I don't want to say anything. Jacare is wasn't that way? Sean Wheelock is on the call with Porter, and Porter cannot say Jacare.
He didn't say Jacare's name.
Jacare. I was like, all right.
Oh yeah,
okay.
He kept murdering it.
But then again, I've murdered too many names, so it's all right.
Yeah, but they're usually Russian with like 50 syllables. It's like.
But you look and you go, Belfort had him definitely hurt. I think it was the third round with the knockdowns. Mm-hmm. Tough. I mean, fucking Jacare fucking hung tough, and he was fighting the fight that he needed to try to win it. That's why I really admired in it, because he was putting pressure, coming forward, and he was gassing.
Oh yeah,
Vitor down. Vitor was starting to have some gas issues there. He was getting tired. Obviously he won the fight, no doubt about it. Vitor won the fight, and at 46 years of age, at 46 he still has fast hands. It's one of those things that normally goes away, but his hands were still fast. He won the fight, but I thought overall it was a gutsy performance by Jacare.
There definitely was no USADA at this event.
Oh my God, no, and we'll talk about that later.
All right. Next.
And here's the one, man, I was so wrong. Anthony Pettis.
Wait, stop. Let's repeat
I will
this.
Say it.
I want it to come out. Everybody pay attention. Go ahead, John. John, take it away.
I really thought going into this, and if you watch it, Anthony doesn't hit Roy that much, but I really will give him credit. He was throwing, and he was throwing more than I thought he would, based upon Roy just was not in shape enough to maintain his burst. He was great at defending. There was a couple times that Pettis landed some clean shots, but he was really good at defending, but the conditioning wasn't there. So the burst became, less. They weren't a lot in the beginning, but they came less and less. But very difficult to go against a good boxer that defensively can, knows what they're doing. At times, he was doing, real high gloves. At times he was opened up, but Anthony Pettis really performed well. I mean, because he looked like a boxer. He moved well. When it first started, it was a little tight, and I don't blame him. But, man, I was so impressed with how he went after Roy in the fight and used his hands, used good combinations, mostly stuck with straight punches down the line to make him get there quick and everything. And it was one of the parts that amazed me. At 54, Roy Jones was still faster than Anthony Pettis. That jab popped out and stuff, and he was like, holy shit. But Anthony Pettis looked fantastic. I was wrong about how that was going to be. I thought it would be more Roy just deciding when. Go ahead. Wrong.
Man, thank you. I want to hear that one more time. That was great.
Your microphone.
I think what it is, right, is that it's the age thing. Like no matter how like he can be fast, but if you don't have the endurance to push it out, doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just, and you can be world class at one point in your life, and he's got all the skill. He still does have all the skill.
Look, but he's forgotten more about boxing than Anthony Pettis knows.
Yeah,
but he's 54.
Pettis is what? Is Pettis even 40 yet?
36.
Jesus criminy, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
18-year difference.
Jeez.
It's a lot. But yeah, okay, but the one thing I did as afterwards, I love the respect between it. But Anthony kind of said, I would love to box Anderson Silva. I always wanted to fight him. I would love to box Anderson. I'm like, oh my God, Anthony's becoming Jake Paul. He's going after the old guy.
Yeah, I know, but it's more of a, I don't know. I look at the Anthony. He was saying they were supposed to fight in MMA.
I know. I was surprised by that because Anthony was at the biggest 55, went down to 45.
Wow.
He did fight 170 though.
Yeah,
he
fought
Stephen
Thompson.
Knocked out Stephen Thompson.
Knocked out Stephen Thompson.
That's right.
Impressive. All right, next card.
PFL.
This is going to be short, but I am going to talk about it.
I
am going to talk
Professional
about it.
Fighters League, their start of their season. I want to say, I thought the Brendan Lohane versus Marlon Moraes fight. Look, Brendan went out and did exactly what he's supposed to, and he's good.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching him since I saw him in Russia.
Hopefully, Bellator can still him.
He doesn't want to do the damn. It's funny because you finally win their season and you become their champion, but they kind of take it away because you're not the champion coming in. That's bullshit.
Nope.
You should be the champion. Wilkerson should be the champion coming in, but I understand the way they do it, and he doesn't like that, and I don't blame him for not liking it. But man, the dude can fight, and the leg kicks. I really feel bad for Marlon. It's just Marlon was that guy at one time. He was the one doing the things that Brendan Loughnane is doing now. And it's just that, time and age are catching up. And especially when you're in those lighter weight classes, speed kills. And the speed was killing Moraes in that fight.
I think we've come at a time, I think the sport has hit a time where it's now making the transition to being a younger man's sport. It was okay for fighters. You'll get a couple that are here that'll still be around like 36, 37, 38. But I think Anthony Pettis being 36 and no longer in the UFC, no longer fighting in PFL, no longer. There's come a time now in this sport, at least in the men's side of it all, where it's becoming more of a younger man's sport. You're going to start
seeing the lighter weight classes.
Yep, exactly. You're going to see from 170, maybe even 185, but I would say 170 is down. You're going to start seeing guys retire at 33, 34 years old. I think it's going to happen here pretty soon because these younger guys, they've grown up training jiu-jitsu. They've understood. Let me give you an example. I have a young lady that trains with me, and she's a purple belt, probably about to be a brown belt. She's fantastic. Took fifth at state in wrestling for the state of California. She's fantastic, but she's so good that she understood she probably wants to fight later on. She just graduated high school, and her whole life, not whole life, but majority of her last part of her high school career was all focused on, I'm going to be an MMA fighter. So I'm going to wrestle in high school. I'm going to train jiu-jitsu at the highest levels. And then I'm going to take a couple little kickboxing classes to make myself better, learn how to hit the bag, learn how to jump, learn how to hit mitts, learn how to shadow box, learn all these things. And her game is to become an MMA fighter. Now, whether it happens or not, but I didn't have that. It just happened that I was in the sport of wrestling. It just happened that I wrestled when I was in high school, middle school, high school.
This thing came around that was called MMA.
John, it couldn't have been a fucking perfect time in my life. It was almost, I swear, God looked down and was like, bro, you're a nice
If I don't deliver this to you, you're going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Dude, it's,
It's true. I mean, I don't know what I saw. I seriously don't know what I would have done. I probably would have joined the Air Force because that was my life. I still thought and believed that I was going to join the Air Force.
That would have been good.
As soon as the UFC got rid of the lightweight division, I was giving myself I'm going to train a little bit, see if something comes up because Pride still had the lightweights. And so they launched that tournament in Bushido and they had called me to see if I wanted to be in it. I was like, yes. So I hung on to hope for that. And then I didn't get into the tournament. So then I still fought in Pride separate matches. I was like, okay, fine. Got paid a lot of money. Got paid more in one fight there than I did in all my UFC fights combined. All of them. So I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking rich. It definitely wasn't rich. But it was, if that fight hadn't come along, I would have joined the military, man. I would have joined the Air Force. There's no way I would have continued doing what I was doing. For sure, I would have joined the military. There's no doubt. because I came from a poor family, man. I didn't know what to do. I don't know how else. I knew how to make money, but it was like I knew I didn't want to do hard labor my whole life. Not after high school, man.
Did a little bit of that. I'm done.
Every summer it was picking prunes, picking apricots, working concrete, doing roofing, construction. I never had an easy job coming.
Yeah, if you do roofing, it is an attention getter, because when you stand on roofs every day, all day long, either knocking shingles down or putting them up, and you're on that angle.
Yeah,
you know how your legs feel afterwards. It's like, yeah, it teaches you a lesson.
Roofing wasn't bad for me because I was doing it in Idaho, so like I could be there with my shirt off. I didn't have to wear a hard hat. It wasn't bad, and I liked I looked like I was tanning. It was kind of that. I was done by 3:00 because we started at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I'd get down to the lake, hang out with friends. I loved that job. It was the concrete, because you had to wear the mud boots that went up to your thighs, and if I wasn't inside the fucking concrete, moving it around with a shovel and a rake, like pushing it around and making it out, then I was the guy mucking the concrete to where they needed it to be, and that sucked too. Fucking hated it. I hated concrete. I did that for one summer. I was like, never doing concrete ever again. Ever. Dude. I would roof, construction all day long. Would love it.
I used to do when I was young, right at college, I painted streets and parking lots, and did like the cement bumpers on the thing. And same thing. Every day, shirt off, in shorts, boots, headband on, and and it was hard work, but I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, yeah. I didn't mind it, man. I didn't mind it. Just the concrete one I was like, I'm done. Don't even call me. I told them too after I left that summer, because I had to go back to school. I told him, I said, don't call me next year. I'm not working. I'm not doing this job. But I told him, because I told him I'd help him. It was a guy that ran his own little company. I said, I'll do it for the summer. And he's like, okay. So I kept my word to him, man. Did it for the summer. I said, don't call me next summer.
All right, so then before Brendan Loughnane, the co-main was Rob Wilkinson going up against Thiago Santos, and this is just goes to the effect of, you're gonna hear all kinds of people talking about, well, Thiago is he's old now. He's not that old.
No,
and it just goes to show you, hey, there's good fighters everywhere. Rob Wilkinson's a good fighter, and he won the PFL's light heavyweight season. 2022, got the $1 million, and they didn't give him, it's the same thing. I look at this and I said, they didn't give him any easy ones. And this is one of the things that doesn't make sense with their tournament is, if you're the guy that won it, the year before, you're going to get a hard fight for the next one, which is going to usually mean that it's going to be a close fight. You win, we'll say you get the 3 points, while the guys who lost last season get the easy fight and they get 6 points.
They don't want the same winner every year.
Doesn't make sense. Okay.
I don't think they want the same winner every year. They want a new, fresh name.
I understand. But I thought Rob Wilkinson fought a smart fight, tough fight. Look, this guy's good. From Tasmania, basically fighting out of Colorado. He's with Greg Montoya there. Really, he won the fight, no doubt about it.
This goes back to what we've said, and we say it normally about Bellator guys, but then people are like, "Oh, you guys are Bellator biased." No. This guy Wilkinson, he's good, and he's fighting a former UFC guy who was a very highly ranked and fought for their title. To say that, oh, he's old. No, he's not old. He just literally hasn't evolved his skills, which is why Wilkinson was able to just match him with whatever he did, and he's found out what his game was. He was able to capitalize on all those things, and he ended up winning the fight. Got to give the guy credit where credit's due, man. Rob Wilkinson did a good job and won the fight. He beat a former top-level UFC guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of top-level fighters out there that are not in the UFC or not in Bellator or not in one. I mean, there's guys that are fighting in these fucking low-level shows that just no one has seen them yet. And that's the thing. You just got to find them. You got to find these diamonds in the rough.
They're there. Also in the light heavyweight, we had Will Fleury, who we've seen before, going against Krzysztof Jotko, another guy coming out of the UFC. But he was fighting, I want to say, in middleweight in the UFC with Jotko, so he kind of went up in weight. Fleury was fighting middleweight when he was with Bellator. He went up in weight. It was a close battle. Both guys had their moments. Jotko won the wrestling exchanges when it came to takedown. Fleury tried to take him down multiple times, but really wasn't successful with it. Jotko was pretty successful in getting Fleury down. but wasn't able to do anything with him and stuff. It was a close fight. Could have gone either way. Split decision. Whichever guy won, they deserved it.
Obviously, no USADA and PFL either.
Oh, baby. I'm looking. That's
Is that the
that's
same
in
guy
state.
that I used to know? Because that guy
Yes,
looks a
it
lot
is.
bigger.
Dude, the state of Nevada. I'm like,
Wow.
are you guys testing, or is it because
Yeah.
you forgot the UFC does their testing, you just take it?
Wow.
Okay,
Next.
yeah. It was like, wow. Movlid. I hate saying it.
Habulayev.
Habulayev. And I texted you before. I said, hey man, this dude's a stud. You know,
We talk about him
and
all
he
the time
is.
on this show.
He is. He is a stud. The guy can fight, man. He's good everywhere, but did not have a great performance against Kudo's good defense. He slowed the fight down. Habulayev basically, like I'm winning this way and I'm just going to continue with it. So it wasn't exciting, but he definitely deserved, 30-27 score is what he got. It's what he deserved. So, but it'll be interesting when he moves up and, his wrestling is so good, but he's good everywhere and he doesn't mind being on his back. He doesn't mind being on the ground. He knows he's going to work his way through that stuff. So going against someone like a Brendan Loughnane and stuff, his striking is good. He can match him, maybe not quite as good as Loughnane there, but his wrestling is better. So it's going to be interesting.
We'll see.
Bubba Jenkins, we've seen him fight Chris Wade before. They put him in a rematch against Chris Wade, and we had the same thing happen. It was a decision, but I'm just going to say it. This was very much.
No, I thought Wade beat
Joey
him last
Davis.
time.
No, last time
Click on it.
Bubba beat him.
I think Wade beat him.
It might have been a 3.
Maybe this is the third.
It might be a 3.
He beat Bubba.
He
down there at
lost
the
to
bottom.
Bubba.
Oh, he lost to him.
And he beat him in 2020.
So he beat him and lost. Yeah, so he beat him. No, he lost. That was just this
No,
one.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he beat Bubba a while back.
In August 2020.
You're right.
Yeah.
August, yeah. So this was the one that he wanted to get back because Bubba they had talked about it. Bubba wanted to get that win back, and he doesn't like him. It's like even if when we get done with this fight, he's like, I wouldn't even be his friend. He's like, I'm just not like this. He's like, I have no desire to be your friend. I'm like, oh wow. Okay.
Well, thank you very much too.
Guess we won't be hanging out anytime soon. Jeez.
Well, okay, so Bubba Jenkins then has now matched it. They both have one apiece. Maybe we'll get a trilogy fight.
I think we
between
will.
the
They'll
two.
probably end up closer to the finals with each other.
We'll see. Martin Hamlet came out. Very nice face crank on the submission against, I can't even say it,
Don't even
Fakhreddin.
Just say Muhammad.
Mohammed Fakhreddin. But this is where I'm talking about. This is what doesn't make sense. Fakhreddin landed one good shot in that. It landed a right hand that was really nice. But again, I've got, Wilkinson taking on Thiago Santos, and I got Hamlet taking on Fakhreddin. There's a little bit of a difference in competition there. And now I have Wilkinson behind Hamlet based upon their point thing. And you just look and you go, you're right. They don't want it to be that thing. They don't want the same guy. Joshua Silveira, Conan Silveira's son. He's got a lot of talent. The kid can fight. I really enjoy watching Joshua. Came out, put a fast rear naked choke on Sam Kai. Did what he was supposed to do. Got his 6 points. Got out of there. Very nice job.
His dad was at Bellator on Friday. And
in Vegas on
Saturday.
Yeah. Good for him. You know what? That's what I love about Marcus.
John,
he's there for his people.
Let's give a lot of love to these coaches that put this effort out, man. People don't realize these aren't my kids. Like, why am I going to all these events?
Well, this one is.
No, I get it.
This one is.
This is true, by the way. I didn't even think about that when I said that.
Yeah.
But majority of the almost 99% of the time, it ain't their kid. And so they're putting this effort in. They're actually taking time away from their own kids and their own wife and their own family, to go and coach
and it's a lot of
time. And everyone's like, they're getting paid. I'm like, yeah, you don't think you realize they're not getting paid enough to really miss this amount of time. They do it because they love it. They do it because there's a connection there with the athletes. It's a lot of time. They're not making fucking Bill Belichick money, or they're not making this money that these coaches in these other leagues are making. And so it's pretty fantastic to see the amount of effort that a lot of these coaches put in. Eric Nixick, Bob Cook, you've got Henry Hooft. You've got these guys are putting in some major hours. Greg Jackson,
Mike Brown,
absolutely Mike Brown. Mike Brown's fucking super busy everywhere, everywhere.
Yep.
So, and when you're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go to the top level guys. Look at American Top Team in Kill Cliff. Henry Hoof and Mike Brown, they're gone everywhere, every weekend. Sometimes one night on Friday night, next night on Saturday, and some shitty ass show probably for their up and comer that has star potential on Sunday afternoon at a bar.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, got to give a lot of love to these coaches that are putting in the effort to help build these young guys' careers and young women's careers also. Anybody else on this card you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. All right, Dave, what do you got for us from news, man? I sent you over some news, but what else you got?
Yeah, did you send me something?
I thought I did, man. Dave
I don't recall, but
don't believe him, Dave.
We have big enough news anyway. Bellator's June card is looking like it's gonna be up there as far as being able to compete with any other card you could look at right now.
This card is gonna be unbelievable. This is the Friday, June 16th in Chicago at the Wintrust Arena. This is, look at Vadim against Yoel. Yoel's one of those guys, ageless, just made out of a different material than the rest of us. The guy is just unbelievable. Then you've got basically the Bellator GOAT, the guy who has won a featherweight title multiple times, has won the lightweight title. Now he's going to go down and try to win his third different title in Bellator, taking on Sergio Pettis. We just saw Anthony and what he did. Sergio was right there with him. Sergio's coming off an injury. That's the only thing that has, a little bit of question mark around it. But Sergio, with his speed and his footwork, not going to be an easy person for Patricio to find. So that's a great fight. And like you said, there's other ones that are already being put onto this. You have Phil Davis taking on Corey Anderson. That's another fight that's on this.
Damn good fight.
That's a great matchup. And then you're probably going to get the big man in Daniel James. I don't know who he's going to be fighting, but I'm sure they'll make it somebody good, and we'll see. But it should be just a fantastic.
Yeah, if you live in that Chicago area or you plan on trying to get to that event, I would buy your tickets now because they're pretty much sold out. They're getting close to being sold out. I believe they were at like 7,000 or 8,000 sold on Friday afternoon, and that arena, because of the stage and everything that they do for the Bellator walkout, I think it holds 9,800. So if they get rid of that stage and walkout, you'll probably get another 2,000, I think, or 2,200, I think is what I heard out of it, something like that. I think it's closer to 2.
Really? That's a lot.
I think it is. It is, because it blocks off, because you can't.
Yeah, the screens and everything.
The screens block off this way too. Plus, they have the things that hang down, the screens that are on the side for viewership. Yeah. So, anyways, I just want to give Patricio the love that he deserves. This is very, very difficult. And everyone that is, you guys saw already with someone like TJ Dillashaw, who was dominating his weight class, then comes in and tries to go to 20.
A huge difference.
And that 10 pounds, cutting that weight down and dealing with someone who is fast, someone who is explosive, someone that can get it done. Now, for me, if there was going to be a fighter that he was going to do it against, this is the fighter to do it. Pettis is not trying to take him down.
No.
They're going to stand and trade. So
yes.
It comes down to his Pettis' speed and the way he mixes it up on the feet going to be enough to withstand his power, Patricio's power. And
that's the question.
But Patricio can take his ass down. Patricio can wrestle.
Yeah, but he's
not gonna. But
I don't think he is. And this is going to be volume versus power.
Yeah.
Which one gets it done?
I look at Patricio and the way he gets in and gets out. He slightly misses right outside of the range and gets in. Now, the kicks will be a factor, I think, a little bit, but Patricio kicks really well. He checks really well. But it's going to be the power, man. The power, I think, I'm going to lean towards Patricio because I can never go against somebody who has the
background.
The background, the show, what they've done. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I went against Kamaru Usman so many times, and then when I didn't go against him, he freaking lost. I'm like, damn it. Maybe I'm just bad luck.
When I jump on board.
So this should be a good fight. And as for Yoel, I said this. With Yoel Romero and Nemkov, Yoel Romero, I think not having to kill himself to get to 85 really makes a big difference. Because
thing
you
ever.
look at him now, he looks so full. Like his body looks full. His legs, everything. He was already ripped and shredded before, but now he's filled out and like still lean. That's what's crazy. Is he like his fight with Phil Davis? He looked soft a little bit for the first time in his life. He looked a little soft, like around the midsection. But then when he fought Alice Polizzi, you could see the veins back into his chest and his shoulders, down his legs. You're like, oh, okay. Somebody put the weight on. He's lifting again. He's getting explosive. He's understanding that 205 is now his weight class and doesn't have to cut the weight. I think he's dangerous. And you saw he broke Alex Polizzi's jaw in 2 places. That was a fight where he was playing with his food.
Yes.
You know, I felt really bad for Alex in that fight because he took some fucking shots, man. Some damage in that fight. But this should be a good fight, man. That fight kind of scares me. If I'm Nemkov, that's a dangerous fight.
I look at this with Yoel. First off, going up, it helps your speed at 205. Who's stronger than him at 205?
Maybe Nemkov. I mean, I don't know if he is. I can't say if Nemkov is.
No one's stronger. He may be as strong. No one's stronger.
Wow.
The dude's a fucking beast.
I look at it this way though too. Like I know Phil Davis can wrestle, but Phil Davis was able to take him down and control him from the top position. I'm not saying Nemkov should be out there, trying to shoot on him, but I'm saying
at times I think he needs to.
I don't know about shooting on him. I think maybe in the clinch trying to like
he needs to make him have to at least
make him work, wrestle, slow him
work
down,
and deal with it. Exactly.
Make that age, make him feel that age again, like getting in the
That's right.
clinch, making his arms heavy, making him all those things. So.
Make him work past the comfort zone. Because there's one thing about Yoel that we know. He likes to be comfortable in the fight. And the slower the pace is, he'll just go along with it.
Yeah.
He's okay with that.
Yeah.
He doesn't like when the pace starts to get real fast.
Yeah. All right, next.
Like I said, we had Corey Anderson versus Phil Davis also on the Chicago card. And that's what he's just put up. So we already talked about that.
All right, I did post something to the news, John. Not John, but Dave. And we have to talk about this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw it, John, but it's
Conor McGregor's going to heavyweight.
No, it has nothing.
Oh,
to do
it's
Yep.
I've got it here.
Okay.
And it's
No, John, I don't think John saw it.
The Endeavor news.
Yes.
Okay. So let me just pull this
Endeavor.
up for you guys, so you can
Endeavor.
so you can at least see the it's sending right now to the laptop.
They own
Hold on
something
one
called the UFC.
Yeah.
second.
Well, guess what else they own?
And as of tomorrow,
Bellator.
Monday.
No.
They own the WWE.
You gotta be kidding me. Wow. Do you know what okay.
$6 billion.
Is it that what because we were just talking about it the other day.
They were saying $6.8 billion is what it was.
They were saying it
estimated
was
at.
worth close to $8 billion. I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, WrestleMania this weekend is supposedly the highest grossing ever in the company's history. So
Is that because it's 2 shows?
well, it's been 2 shows for the last 3-4 years. So
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, see
It's
that.
been-
I'm sorry, that shows you how many times I've watched.
hey, we're going
It's
to
a big
WrestleMania
deal.
next year.
We're gonna go, huh? Dude, if I went to a WrestleMania, they would throw me out.
Well, now.
They would sit.
Because Endeavor
What's
owns
that?
it. Well, now, because Endeavor
Especially
owns
now.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Well-
I'm trying to look at this in a couple different ways.
I'm looking at it like this. This is Dana's attempt to get Ronda Rousey back.
Oh my god.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm just joking.
I'm wondering if this is a good thing or a bad thing. Only because now you're really splitting your funds both ways, and I know it's very profitable. I know both of them are very profitable.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think they're splitting.
I agree
anything.
with you, but then, like, is he staying on? Is Vince McMahon
That's
staying
one.
on?
What? Okay.
Now,
Is he controversial?
yes.
Well,
Okay, is Dana?
Vince already left recently, like a few months
Yeah,
ago because of like
then
a
he's
scandal.
back.
But now he's back.
but he's not totally back.
Okay, so Dave would have more on this, but I mean, I'm looking at it in a couple different ways. Is Vince going to stay on and still be like a Dana? Then I see success right away.
Yeah.
If Vince now all of a sudden departs, I see things kind of not really falling apart. Obviously, it's too big to really fall apart, to be honest. It's the only show in town. But I don't see things being ran as smoothly. Someone had said, this means Ariel's out of another job. But it was... I want to know if it's a good thing. I mean, I think it will be because now you can do like a cross kind of promotion between. You can start seeing UFC guys in Bellator, or not in Bellator, in UFC guys in the WWE. You'll start seeing maybe some WWE guys start to trickle over a little bit.
Bullshit. Who?
John, I don't know. I don't know.
Look,
well, you know Logan Paul's there, right? You know Logan Paul's there.
Yeah, Logan Paul's there. Okay.
Okay, so like you said, who? Well, there's one. You know KSI was there. You know maybe
KSI's going to fight in the UFC.
I don't know. I've only seen him do boxing. I don't know if maybe he wrestled in high school. Who knows?
Never wrestled in his life.
John, we don't know.
Come
that.
on.
Well, you know, and the other thing as well is Logan supposedly was close to boxing Nate. The few days ago that was discussed. Nate was supposedly in talks with WWE at one point. The crossover is these crossovers are happening.
Yeah,
it's
and
just
I think
they're going
to
look
look
Dave,
at
just because you're all giddy and all just sunshine and fucking roses inside right now because my
John,
God.
Dave's got a point though. There is the crossover, and I think that will help
I don't
solidify.
think you have that much. You could get a crossover by anybody in the UFC going in that direction.
Yes.
You could do that. You can't just cross over going the other way. It doesn't work that way.
But John, we already have it. We have Bobby Lashley who did it. We have
Bobby Lashley,
Jake
Brock
Hager.
Hold on, well, he's not with.
I get it, but I'm saying that the crossover has happened from wrestler to MMA.
But hold on. Okay, all right, stop. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it happens when you have someone like a Brock Lesnar, NC2A wrestler, a Kurt Angle, Olympic, but even though he never did go to MMA, but could have, a Jake Hager, NC2A wrestler, a Bobby Lashley, an NAIA wrestler. Yes, you can get those guys, but they're limited. Most of those guys, look, let's be honest, they're stuntmen, and they're good stuntmen, but they're not fighters. And so they wouldn't even want to.
No, I
don't blame them.
You say they don't want to, but I'm saying that there's potential of them doing a big fight on another in the UFC for a lot of money. And Endeavor might be willing to pay for the circus show like how Pride did back in the day. I'm just saying, like, hey, you could take that wrestler and take him over for one fight, like how Pride used to, and they can make a ton of money on pay-per-views. I wouldn't fucking put it past them, John. I think you're going to start to see the wheel go backwards a tiny bit. I think so.
Well, there's a bigger play at hand here. There's a bigger play at hand here. Endeavor's going to buy WWE, and then what they're going to do is they're going to merge both sports entirely into slap leagues so they can make them all fight each other.
There it is. Dave came up with it. Way to go, Dave.
Jeez. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out if it's
the worst part is I was sitting here actually listening to him like he was going to actually come up with something.
You should know he's a troll. He's not coming up. He's not coming up with anything good.
This was posted about 5 minutes ago, and this picture perfectly encapsulates this whole story. Tell me, WWE and UFC are owned by the same company without telling me UFC and WWE are owned by the same company. Here's a picture.
But see, I mean, that right there, that's a match. That's a fight that could potentially happen. They would both come out of retirement to fight each other in MMA. They're both old,
both organizations.
Both can wrestle, and they can do it in both organizations.
Kane and Brock did it.
And I could see Kane making a comeback for wrestling. I'm just saying, it's the potential is there for these type of things.
Making a comeback
into
the WWE.
Yes, into the WWE. Yep.
Okay.
But I could also see him.
Because
I could also see them.
Let's just be honest. If you're the WWE or now Endeavor, you don't want to bring Brock back to fight Kane again. Not for real.
No. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I don't.
Come on.
So. No, they're both too old, I think, to take shots. But DC and Brock, I don't know. We'll see.
You have lost your fucking mind.
We'll see.
All right, let's get from spending a lot of money to not spending a lot of money with this next story. This ONE SC contract leaked this week.
So we're going from $6.8 billion to $1,300.
Yeah, let's talk
about
it.
Jesus.
What do you guys think about this?
It says $1,300 to show, win, pay. Chaudhry, what the actual fuck? Well, let me explain to you guys what this is all about. First off, they don't really have to show all their actual money that they make. That's one. Now, maybe this is what they actually make, but I've actually seen and I've actually been around ONE FC's contracts when I used to work for them, and fighters have talked to me about them, and several fighters that I'm very close with that fight with them now and have fought with them in the past. They also get monthly stipends, whether it's 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month. Some of them are making 50 grand a month. So to say that like, hey, this person's only making 1,300, they're not making 1,300. They are making they're making a salary monthly that pays for their mortgage or pays for their rent or pays for whatever there is, and then they get this paid on their fight when they actually fight. Now, who is this person? I don't even know who she is.
Her name's at the top here, or
Sorry,
at the bottom.
Right at the bottom.
Analia Emilvina.
Nova.
So 1,300. I don't know if that's what she's getting paid. But my point is, I know that a lot of the fighters there are getting paid on a monthly because they don't have enough shows. So if I'm a fighter and I'm going to go sign with ONE, your managers already all know. Most top level managers know they don't have enough shows to keep your fighter busy. So they say, hey, you're going to pay me a monthly salary, whether I fight or not, which is what they do. And they lock them into long contracts, like 3 and 4 year long contracts, and say, hey, we'll pay you a monthly salary, whether we fight you or not. And then when it comes fight time and your fight purse is there, you're not really making anything. You're making 2 grand, 5 grand, whatever it is. That's how a lot of these guys have worked their contracts with them, because they don't have an active schedule. There's what, 10, 15 shows a year at the most that they have over there. So if that's the case, then they're paying them a lot of money to be, I wouldn't say like only 10 shows a month, or not a month, but 10 shows a year. So these fighters that they want to keep on retainer or keep on a roster, they pay them a monthly salary. Now, I don't know if that's the case with her. Maybe she is making 1,300. I don't know. I don't know who she is.
I don't know either.
I don't know. But I don't want to jump on the gun. That's the thing, is I don't want to jump the gun on this and start saying, you guys fucking suck. I mean, 1,300 is 1,300. I don't know if it's $1,300. Is it 1,300 wherever they're from? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
1,300 baht?
Yeah, is it 1,300 baht? It could be way less. Like if we compare it to American money, it could be way less.
Yeah.
So who knows? But
it says United States dollar. Right
yeah,
there.
I'm not
USD.
willing to crucify them. Like she could be on a monthly salary of say 4 grand, 5 grand a month, and then she got signed, I don't know, a month ago. Is this the bout agreement or is this the fight contract?
This is a bout agreement.
Bout agreement. So then the bout agreement is what you're getting paid for the fight, and then that she could have signed a separate contract that says what she gets paid monthly. In her annual contract or whatever her contract is for her fights. So I don't want to jump the gun too fast and be like, yeah, fuck them, they're not paying anything. Well, she could be on a different pay scale when it comes to monthly stipends. That's what it comes down to. All right, anything else?
Yeah, last one right here. We're gonna get you guys' reaction to Tim Sylvia's participating in slap fighting.
Big Tim coming back for slap fighting. Now, that's not Dana's slap fighting. That's not the power slap. That is another type of slap fighting competition. But look, he's got a big reach. Hope he can slap. He can hit. But Tim kind of walked away because he had some problems.
Yeah.
True. A little bit of health issues. He's real big now. I know that. And there will be no weight class, so someone's going to be slapping a guy who's 6'8" and probably 310, 15 pounds. He was up like 330, 340. So
that's big, man.
Big.
Look, I like Tim. Tim is a guy that you would have never have thought that him and I would become friends. He is a fantastic person. And I know there was moments there where I had seen like sides of him. I'm like, why are you so nice to me? But then you're kind of a dick to other guys. He was so nice to me, man. Like him and I.
Even his own teammates would sit there and say, Tim's a dick.
Bro, he was so nice to me, man.
I loved him.
He was like a gentle giant. I see that
He's
guy
a good
walking
guy.
around the
Tim's a
UFCs
good
and
guy.
events, and he was like, Josh, what are you doing later? I'm like, whatever, man. Hit me up. Meet up. We'll do this. He's like, all right. Can we hit each other up and we go out? Go hang out. He was fucking fantastic, man. Great guy. Hung out with him fucking almost all week. We were at a UFC event in Atlantic City. We hung out the whole week that week and really kind of became friends, man. Cool guy. And everywhere I ever saw him, man, we always made time and hung out and had lunch or, caught up. But he's always been a fantastic person. I have nothing bad to say about him. Still one of the nicest guys that I've met, especially being that big and didn't have to be nice to me. He was always nice to me. Great guy. Absolutely great guy.
What do you think about him doing a slap fight competition?
It's up to him. Look, I'm a believer that someone can do whatever the fuck they want. Who am I to stop them from doing it? If he wants to do it,
would you watch that competition?
I watch it because he's my friend. Yeah, he's a big.
You should not watch it because he's your friend, because you get all freaking nervous Nelly.
I do
about anybody who's your friend doing anything.
I know. He got a little extra skin in the game because I do like him. He's a good guy, man.
He is a good guy.
All
I say is to Tim, if that's what you're going to do, good luck to you. Yeah. I think you should go back to hunting. It's got the hunting thing going on. I think that's a great thing, and I hope you're successful with that.
He's awesome, man. I sent Dave one more thing. Dave, was that fight announced or was that just on his web thing? Sign me up.
So it was Topuria posted it on Instagram. Another fight, same result, finishing him in the first round. 14-0 is coming. So Topuria has posted it, but there's no official post yet. It says June 17th. I mean, this looks like an official UFC poster. I was on their Instagram and I did not see it. So I'm not just sure if he's. I don't think he pulled it from there. If somebody in the UFC sent it to him.
Maybe they just told him that's who he was fighting potentially, and he accepted it, and so he put it out there. But yeah.
So, question: Have you been since I'm just looking at Daniel Cormier there with Brock? Have you been talking to Cormier
about what?
Well, he's using your lines because hindsight's 50-50 now, according to Dan Cormier.
That son of a bitch. Oh, that guy, he did. He said that.
Oh,
what a guy, man. He said hindsight's 50-50. So I know he's been listening to our show because I'm the only idiot that says that dumb line. And, and then on top of that, like when we started our 5 rounds main event show, he came out and started his 3-round main event show or whatever it was called. I'm like, D, why you keep stealing our shit, man? Why? I don't get it.
Because it's easier than coming up with your own.
Well, here's the thing, John. Every time we do a show, a Bellator event, and we go, it is insane to me how many people, old people, young people, their kids come up to us, which I got to stop cursing now that I know so many damn kids watch our show. I've really got to stop. And I've dropped a lot of F-bombs in this show
You have
today.
to stop?
I do, man.
I've learned I have to stop.
This is brutal. I gotta stop because I realize it's like, oh yeah, this dad's like, hey, my son's a big fan. I'm like, your son's 10. Like I'm like, what are you doing?
To every show.
You're letting them listen to our show. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, okay. So I got to stop cursing, man. It's something. I've dropped a bunch of F-bombs here, forgetting that there's kids out there that listen to us. But this Topuria fight versus Josh Emmett, great fight. And I just, the two of them are going to stand and bang. I think Topuria will threaten some takedowns. And I think Josh will have to figure out how to stop that calf kick because Topuria will get after the leg. And it's going to be a good fight. I think I see someone either getting knocked out or I see someone just getting knocked out. I don't think this fight goes the distance. I don't think this fight goes the distance. Someone's going to get finished. Nope. Good fight, though. I'm pumped for it.
Well, the best part is it says main event, meaning that's a 5-round fight. It's not
Perfect. We'll see. Unless somebody else made it up. But all right, before we leave this arena, this MMA arena of combat sport talk and podcast. That's what we're talking about. Make sure you guys go to onlyfans.com/Wayne and subscribe for free at our channel. It's free, guys. Okay, just come on down, subscribe, check out. You guys can enter your fan questions there. Go to WayneandMerch.com, pick up some of our gear, our hoodies, our sweatshirts, shirts, hats. All those things are available now. And hopefully we can get some tank tops up there before summer kicks off. It's weather got a little nicer today, which is kind of nice. And John, I'm going to let you take us away. This is about a 2-hour-long podcast, buddy.
Well, that's because we decided to do it in 2 parts because your internet doesn't work.
It wasn't my internet.
But
it's my computer. It's my computer.
Oh, it's your computer.
See, old people don't even know what technology is.
DOS. Josh with his DOS computer.
I'm surprised you remember that.
Sometimes. So everyone out there, for all the people that did come up to Josh and I during our stay in Southern California, thank you very much. We're glad you're all enjoying the show, listening. For everyone else out there, I hope you enjoyed this. Big breakdown on the Bellator, which we were part of. Pretty good breakdown on Gamebred Boxing. Hope to see Anthony Pettis actually back in a boxing ring. And I want to see the rematch of Aldo versus Jeremy Stevens. For everyone else out there watching, thank you so much, and we will see you.